Hello and welcome to BT Media's In Conversation With series. This afternoon or morning for my guest, I'm delighted to welcome RD Whitney, who is CEO of 365MEDIA and co-founder of the Virtual Events Institute. RD has also been the CEO of the Validation Institute, Executive VP of Tarsus Group, and Group VP of Diversified Communications. Good morning in New Hampshire and welcome, RD. How are you today?
Great. Good morning, Dan. How you doing?
I'm very well. I'm very excited because this is my first foray into jumping over the pond from the UK and talking to someone in the States. So thank you for agreeing to do this. So RD, obviously we're here to talk about 365MEDIA in the main, but you've got a fantastic and impressive resume, and I can't sort of move forward without you giving our viewers an insight into what you've been up to for how many years you've been doing it.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for having me on, Dan. I appreciate it. And nice to speak with your community. And that's what my background's all about is building communities online and offline. It all started actually when I was 25 years old and two brothers, really smart, great guys, Wayne and Marshall Cooper, came and bought a small publishing company in New Hampshire, actually, where I was raising my daughters. I had already worked at Wolters Kluwer and Thompson, and I had learned about specialized publishing and the great business models of reoccurring revenue and content, bringing people to the community. But here we had just a newsletter for the management consulting and executive recruiting industries, a newsletter and a directory. It was a format. And I remember Wayne saying, we're not a format company. We're not a conference company. We're not a trade show company. We're going to deliver valuable tools, resources to help people do their job better, stay in compliance, advance their career because of the content that we're developing. We're going to connect buyer and seller. And for me, that was like, I said, I'll take whatever job you got. And I took a low level position.
Yeah.
And quickly became general manager. And in 48 months, I went from this small little sleepy publishing company to a $48 million sale to what's today Bloomberg. And that was almost 20 years ago.
Right. That's a whole other interview with you.
Yeah. So, but it was phenomenal. So how do you take a newsletter and then we should do live events? So we rented the Jacob Javits Center because classified advertising was moving from this little thing, from the newspaper to this new thing called the internet in new companies like Monster and Career Builder. And, today it's LinkedIn and Indeed.
Sure.
But it was an industry that was forming and we helped people connect with it faster, with that change faster. We were doing data downloads through Dow Jones. We were doing corporate executive board models before it was even a thing, with Gartner. So we were trying every format, and that was just so exciting to me. But what we were ultimately doing is building community.
Yeah. And
so I've repeatedly done that over the past 30 years in my career. A very good example in the accounting space, pretty boring area. You'd think it's well covered. Turns out we were able to acquire a newsletter for accounts payable professionals, right? People that pay bills. Yeah. Turns out there's 500,000 people, 500,000 of them in America, and nobody covered what they did. So this one newsletter people subscribed to that was literally in bankruptcy, we grabbed and we turned it into the Institute of Finance and Management. We started doing live events because they needed a place to form their community. We created a certification program in America to help define that function. And we created online resources with tools and calculators and things that would help them do their job better and stay in compliance.
Sure.
It took off, and Diversified acquired it, and then I was able to sort of build a business community group within there. So I've been doing this at Tarsus, helped do biz dev and helped build different community elements around that, and did some M&A, ran their online media. But how this all relates to virtual and events, so just real quick. So while at Tarsus, I was CEO of TSNN, Trade Show News Network. And we were covering this new thing called virtual events, right? And the events industry was kind of scratching their head on it. Frankly, everybody was. It was clunky. This was 12 years ago. And, the tools were out and they were kind of misaligned. But I tried to stick with it. We did a research study on that, on perceptions of it. And it got a lot of traction because people were very interested in it. I got on the board of OnStream Media, which invented webcasting back at the beginning of the internet, and I served on their board. So I stuck with it. I joke sometimes on interviews that I felt like Noah building an ark, and it was bright and sunny out, and nobody really cared about virtual events, but I stuck with it and done thousands of them over my career. But COVID hits and everything changed. Suddenly people had to wake up to virtual events and the power of virtual events. And I'm super excited about what that means for the future, because we're being forced to do it now and things are being invented.